Hello and welcome to NoCB, a grand strategy podcast for the week of April 22nd, 2020. I am your host, TJ Hafer. With me here is our fantastic panel, including Rose.
Hello.
Including Lambert.
Hello there.
And including Father Loris.
What's up? Hello.
And we just had a long discussion about different sized containers of milk that I'm sure everybody will be very disappointed that they didn't get to hear. But
all right, well, let's continue it. Do you like full fat milk, semi-skimmed, skimmed, lactose-free? Because personally, I mean, you need to have the red one. I don't know which one that is though.
I live like pretty close to Boulder, Colorado, so cow milk is like a war crime. You got to get almond milk, cashew milk, oat milk, something like that. No, I still drink regular milk.
Stinks of
I'm
heresy.
lactose intolerant, so
there you go.
I only have like a small splash of regular milk in tea.
Oh, see, give me that lactose. Just pump it directly into my veins. Full fat every time.
Yeah.
I don't know what that sort of red. I don't know if you have it. Sort of. It's basically like white liquid water. It's just terrible.
Oh.
It's like paint thinner.
Milk.
It's not good. It's not good.
I don't know why people drink it.
It's like the ghost of milk. Like if you killed milk and you're drinking its ghost, that's what skimmed milk is.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. It's as if those monks would lash themselves on their back. It's as if they invented that milk. That's what it is.
Oh, imagine putting that kind of milk in tea. Oh, the heresy.
I'm gonna go ahead and pre-type up our next iTunes review. WTF is this? I came here to listen to strategy news. Why are they talking about milk? This show has really gone downhill. So we do have some grand strategy news to talk about today. First and foremost, we got a CK3 dev diary on holy orders that shows kind of how they're going to differ from CK2, which I'm pretty excited about because I feel like holy orders was one of those things that just the core kind of framework of CK2 didn't really let them do some of the interesting stuff with holy orders that I think they maybe would have liked to do. What do you guys think?
They were very basic in CK2. It's like, oh, they're here, and now they own a castle in my land, which is stopping me from owning the whole duchy and getting this achievement, or just enacting this decision. And yeah, they'll fight for me, but I'm at war with 3 different people. Only one of them is against my religion, is not my religion. And so yeah, I've got a stack of 10,000 troops here, but only 4,000 of them are gonna fight this 10k stack walking into me.
Well, I quite liked the whole, crusading part of Crusader Kings, so I actually really liked holy orders. It was always a really, getting them as a vassal and then using them in my holy wars was always like a really good feeling for me, so I really like them.
Yeah, it made you feel like a real crusader.
Get them in time for the crusade.
Yeah, that was the big thing. The most
it
annoying
doesn't have
thing
to be
about
an official crusade. Every war against the heathen is a crusade in your heart.
I think that in terms of their function in warfare, I think they worked fine. I think that where things kind of paled for me was more in kind of the character interactions you could have with holy orders. Don't quote me on this, but I want to say that they mentioned at some point in like a dev response to a dev diary way back that monks and mystics, you were originally you can kind of become like a lay member of the Benedictines or the Franciscans. It was originally planned that you could also become like a lay member of the Templars.
Oh,
but it was such a huge expansion already that kind of got scoped out. Yeah, they didn't have enough, time to actually implement that. So I'm wondering if feudal rulers will be able to get, as we can see, this order member trait. But it does say may not inherit titles and may not marry, so I'm not optimistic about that.
I don't think that makes sense for most holy orders. The Catholic holy orders, absolutely. But I mean, how relevant is not being able to marry to the likes of the Yoms Vikings or the Assassins? Like, I don't think that makes sense for everyone. It shouldn't. It should be definitely order specific.
Yeah.
It might be from a gameplay point of view in terms of balance.
Yeah, well, I'm curious if there will be like different types of order members, like maybe if there will be a lay member trait, or I don't know if that's something that they might add in Monks and Mystics 2 at some point in the future.
Monks and Mystics 2 Boogaloo, where you get to yeet the Grandmaster out the window so you can take over.
Yeah. Monks and Mystics 2, The Return of Satan.
The return of my castrated dog.
Yes.
See, I was kind of hoping
mechanic
that the mechanics of the Holy Orders were going to be tied to the religion a little bit more, to be honest, because I still don't think it makes sense that there's a Buddhist holy order, and a...
Depending on the branch of Buddhism, but definitely, the Jains, like having a holy order. What
can you imagine?
That would be like, our job is we just try to just make everybody chill out and go home. Like,
they sort of go to the battlefield to just lie down.
They walk into the middle of the battlefield and say, "Okay, guys, what's your problem? Oh, you got that problem. You got this problem. Let's sit down, have a cup of tea, and discuss it like civilized folk."
Just make them.
Tea is for civilized folk. I agree.
Make them deal no damage.
Well, this is the Middle Ages. Tea in India, I don't think you had much tea in England.
None at all.
Medicinal stuff.
Yeah, not till like the EU4 time period, I don't think.
Yeah, that's when we became civilized.
Yeah, so they would deal like no casualties, but like, I don't know, plus 100% morale damage. Like they're literally just standing there convincing everybody to leave. So you'll be able to create your own holy orders, which is nice. I might be skipping ahead a little bit here. I didn't memorize what order.
Yeah. So
you can also create.
Here's about hiring holy orders and what their troops composition is.
Right. But like we see that first picture we showed is the duchy is called the Mujahideen of Asa, which I do not believe is historical. That seems like a player-created holy order, which is...
they've got a scripted amount of names for different religions and faiths, but if you run out of the scripted holy orders, they're going to be named the Holy Order of the barony where they come from.
Yeah, I hope it's time to
name your own ones, unfortunately.
So, like, if you're, Iberian culture, you set up a holy order, it'll be called like the Knights of Santiago or the Teutonic Order if you're German, something like that. I hope it's culture tied.
Mahayana? Grand Mistress Bhavashankari has founded the Guardians of Bodh Gaya.
Yeah, there we go. So I'm... the way I would imagine it will work, like if I had to hazard a guess, I think the historical ones will probably arise at a certain time, whether the player does anything or not, and then the dynamic names, the dynamic names will be for the ones that you create yourself. I don't know if they said if AI will do that or not. It seems like the theme is that most of the ahistorical stuff so far that the player can do, they've said the AI won't do it. They won't found dynamic heresies. But
they don't say either way here.
Interesting.
You can only create one holy order, but you can still end up being the patron of several by taking over land where a holy order of your faith has their headquarters.
Interesting, okay.
So there possibly is maybe a trigger. Like, oh, I'm a pious enough fellow and I have the money, so I'll give land to a holy order.
Yeah, it seems like something that'll probably be specific to the player. I guess we'll have to see. So yeah, they come with knights, which is cool because knights are apparently going to be pretty powerful. And then they have different regiments. Some of them are just going to be levies. Other ones will be fully upgraded special troops. So I'll be interested to see how holy orders look different in terms of their composition from one region to the next as well.
In CK2, they were pretty like hefty anyway, right? They were knights and heavy infantry, essentially.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
I played quite a bit of Norse characters, as I'm sure you also have, TJ.
Never.
Coming up against some of the Catholic holy orders was a, oh fuck, I've now lost this war moment for me almost every time. It's like I could be outnumbering these bastards by 10 to 1 and they would kick my ass. The knights, heavy cavalry, just murdered. Absolute crush.
Heavy cavalry in Crusader Kings 2 is really, really good, but that's also historically accurate, so I can't get too mad about it.
Medieval tanks.
It's kind of like people complaining in Bannerlord about how like Khuzait armored horse archers are really, really good, and it's like, yeah, but there's not really a way you could make them worse that would allow them to behave as horse archers did historically.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
You put a bunch of infantry without shields against horse archers, and you run the horse archers in circles around them. The infantry is going to die.
Mm-hmm. Like, you either have to make them useless or make them realistic, and if you have to make that decision when you're making a historical or historically inspired game, I'd kind of rather you made them realistic.
Well, it doesn't have to be historically. It just has to be, like, militarily realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as I mentioned on Twitter, it turns out the counter to horse archers is terrain. So
yeah, it is. It's true.
There's a reason the Mongols never conquered Poland.
That's basically what I do. I don't want to segue too much into Bannerlord, but like
we'll talk about it later. But go ahead. Quick tangent. Yeah.
You know what I normally do is if I find myself fighting in a woodland, I just go, you know what, I'll auto-resolve this one, because that normally performs a lot better than the battle itself.
Yep.
Same with sieges too, because my goodness, horse archers and sieges, not the best.
Yeah.
To bring it back to CK3, would you like to scroll down to this, the Holy Order requesting your son to be a member of theirs? Before we go into the text here, who do you think the character there is? Do you think that is Grandmaster Zerardu, or do you think it is the King of Galicia?
I guess I would say it's the king, because it looks like he's pondering something.
It could be Villalba.
Oh no, it couldn't be the player, because he has a little +6 under his name.
That's one thing. It's the kid that they're asking for.
Yeah, he does look very young.
Yeah, I think it's for kids. Yeah,
because that confused me for quite a bit. I was like, well, he can't be the Grandmaster because he's a fucking baby.
I mean,
also, this can't be the son, because the first image is asking for a castle, and that's got nothing to do with your kid.
Huh.
It's the second one that's asking for the kid.
Well, maybe
you're right.
Maybe Crusader Kings 3 is just an anime, so all of the important warriors in the world are like 15 years old. Like
all of the characters are 1,500 years old. They just look like they're 15.
The greatest swordsman of all time. He's not allowed to drive yet.
And his sword is 5 times bigger than him.
Yes, exactly.
Just going on that trope, I hate that trope. Like, the massive swords, just hate it.
So it must be the Grandmaster.
Huh.
I really hate it,
way too
though.
young.
There is no Grandmaster that's bloody 15 years old. Come on.
Look at this Grandmaster up here, who looks like...
nice, early, mid-40s, maybe. Oh, no, he's 20. Never mind.
20, yeah. He looks very old for 20.
It's the beard.
I wish I had a beard like that when I was 20.
I
know myself, when I let my beard grow out, I gain 10 years. Or rather, when I shave it, I lose 15.
Yeah.
I've also gained an extra since I was like 17, so yeah. Yeah.
That's true. These are under development. It could just be someone that they debugged into the position.
Yeah. I really hope
the image.
I really hope that the title of Grandmaster is something that is age limited, so it can't go to someone under 50 or something. When I think of the word Grandmaster, I don't think of someone who's 15 unless I'm thinking of chess.
Yeah.
And then there's Magnus Carlsen, who he was Anyway, that's chess. Never mind.
I think
he was the youngest
for
grandmaster.
Grandmaster from Stronghold Crusader, old guy. That's what I think.
Let me see. I'm trying to see who the youngest Grandmaster of the Templars was, but it's not.
That's what I was looking at myself here.
Yeah, it's.
Why can't a kid
Google's
lead a
not
holy
very
order? A
helpful.
kid can't lead anything. He can lead without the paper bag. Incredibly
Yeah.
ageist.
It looks like they mostly did take the office at an older age, so that might be appropriate. But
Yeah.
we don't even know
I'll
what
put a
their
limit of at
succession-
least like 30 or 32 or something.
Look, if you don't have any grey hairs in your beard, or if you don't have a beard at all, you can't be Grandmaster. These are the rules. I don't make the rules. Just saying.
Yeah.
Well, no, here's one guy.
Suddenly. Anyway.
This is a pro-boomer podcast now.
Yeah. Who are the boomers of the Middle Ages? I'm trying to think.
People
Would it
who
be-
survived the, or the people who were born after the Black Death.
That's what
Yeah.
I was thinking too. Yeah, because there would have been a significant population explosion. So basically, all those Renaissance assholes. Those
Oh
were the
my god,
boomers.
those goddamn those Renaissance Zoomers,
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Look, if you were alive during the start of EU4, if you were alive during the fall of Constantinople, I'm sorry, you're just a millennial.
Because the other thing that qualifies a boomer is that they have to rub their culture all over everything. So the early Renaissance masters would definitely qualify as boomers, I think.
Yeah.
I think
Who'd be the
figured it
Zoomers
out.
in that situation with their very annoying newfangled things? And
The reformers, the church reformers.
oh, of
The
course,
Dutch.
yeah.
And the
They're
Dutch.
like, screw this, we don't like this anymore. I mean, Lutheranism is basically the grunge of theology. So I guess that's more Gen X, but yeah.
Smells like Lutheran spirit.
There we got the episode title.
Yes,
out of the way there.
did it again.
I'm finding nothing to add to this conversation. It's so far off target.
So,
Look,
we
the past
see
few podcast
other thing-
episodes have been very off-topicy ones. Let's be fair.
The
We go on tangents.
yeah, let's blame Stellaris and Imperator for not having dev diaries and Hoi 4.
And Hoy.
yeah.
Well,
See, I thought I was going
kind
to
of
take the
has
blame
one
there,
this
so
week.
I guess I dodged a bullet.
No, I'll still blame you, Lambert, if you want. I'll do that for you.
The other thing we see is that holdings can now have a lessee, I think is how you pronounce that.
Leasier?
Yeah, you
Leaser.
can lease castles to holy orders for sure, but possibly that system could be used in other ways too, which is
Like
kind of
maybe
interesting.
merchant republics when and if they add those back in.
Yeah, leasing a city to them, for sure.
So it's not like you just give up land to the Yomes Vikings or whatever. Like it's still yours, but they're leasing it from you.
Yeah.
So
They
it'll be
have control
interesting to
over
see
it,
how
but
that-
you can take it back if
Yeah.
they torque you off. Or you're planning to switch religions or something.
So yeah, it'll be fun to play as the Byzantine Empire and then just lease half the country to the Varangian Guard. And that'll be fun, I think. Fun for me anyway. And you can ask your children who you don't want to deal with to take the vows, but it looks like
Where was there? There it is.
they actually have a choice now to not do that unless you have a hook on them. So it'll be a little bit harder to get your fail sons to go become a monk. You'll
I
have to do
actually
some.
rarely ever use that feature in CK2.
I use it extensively.
Like,
play with
if
Gavelkind.
I'm...
Oh yeah,
Because usually I'm a
yeah.
Tanistry or Primogenitor by the time I start having enough land. And one way, or if you're Tanistry, one way to kick someone out of the succession is make sure he gets land by marrying some lady off somewhere who's got land, and suddenly people don't vote for him anymore.
Yeah, I mean, part of the problem is that where it would be really useful is if, you had a great heir, and then your second son, sucked. and your awesome heir died in a boating accident or something, but then your second son, who is now in line to the throne, who wasn't really a threat before, you can't make him take the vows because he's the primary heir. So it's like you have to kind of decide ahead of time in CK2 that like, I don't want this person to have any possibility of inheriting, but you might not have that many kids at that point, and then you don't think about it until it becomes an issue. And yeah, I don't use it that as much as I would think. So
mostly it's just problematic people that I just go to the monastery. It's fine. Go away.
Or
well, they
if you
still
don't want
stay
them
in
to
your
get married.
court. They just have the monk or the nun title or trait.
Yeah,
they
but
also
then they can't have
hate you
kids.
too. That's the other problem.
Yeah, I
So-
guess.
Yeah, I guess now
I'd
they
use it a
won't
lot
be in
more
your
if it's
court
not.
anymore if they become a holy order member.
Yeah.
That's true. There was also no way to really send someone to be in the Holy Order in CK2. It was just a random event that popped up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can make
Which is
them a
great
monk,
when you
but-
can send them to the Yoms Vikings. And they come back as an absolute tank.
Yeah.
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 Well,
Or
Vikings
dead.
always had the best mechanics of that.
Or the
Same with,
Varangians.
Varangians, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was great.
Well, and I always
Having
found
an-
it annoying, though, how they would be married with like 4 kids and they'd go off and then suddenly they wouldn't be married anymore.
Yeah.
I was like,
the Holy Order comes
okay.
first.
Exactly.
Well,
yeah.
yes, I understand that, but is it divorce? Is it annulment? What is the Pope saying about this? Because if it's annulment, those kids are now bastards.
Oh,
Going
yeah.
for real
Does
historical accuracy.
bastardry occur retroactively? Or
Yes,
Yeah,
it
with
can
an
be.
annulment,
If a
yeah.
marriage
I
is
did not know
annulled,
that.
it's deemed not
Right,
legitimate from the
yeah.
beginning.
Because
Yeah,
if it's an annulment, it's basically he's saying they were
It's never happened.
never legally married to begin with. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would be interesting. Yeah. Anything else about this the CK3 diary that jumped out to anybody here?
It seems you can also pull a Louis and revoke a Holy Order's lease, although it doesn't say that you get to burn everyone to death, so I guess it's kind of not a Louis. But yeah, you can get rid of the Holy Orders if you like.
Yeah.
Also, this crown is fantastic.
It's
is.
huge. It's phenomenally large.
That is quite
The
a
crown is bigger than the head.
One interesting change I thought from CK2 is you can use the Holy Orders to fight people of the same religion too. So before, like in CK2, they just won't engage.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I think I
See
know
it-
that Holy Orders in history did fight people of their same religion, but I feel like now it's going to be the case that you're going to declare on some weak other faith person just so you can use your Holy Order to fuck over France. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just I don't like that.
That's my concern. I don't know if it's like based on if you're attacking. Like if you declare war on someone, I think the way it's phrased, I think if you do declare war on France, they go away. But if France declares war on you while you're fighting a heretic, you
See,
can
that
still
would
use
make
them.
more sense if you're busy
Oh.
fighting a heresy or heathens, and then someone of your same religion declares on you. You
Yeah.
know, they're going against the will of God.
That's
Our,
how
whatever
I
gods
our
you worship.
liege lord or our patron is busy fighting these heathens, and you have the audacity to attack him while he's doing this. We will not stand for that. That
Exactly,
totally
yeah.
get. But it seems like you can kind of game it a bit.
Yeah. I was thinking of ways you could possibly cheese it. You know, thinking maybe if you declared war on France and then you declared war on a heathen and then you got the Holy Order, would you still be able to do that? I'm not quite sure. But we'll have to see what the mechanics are. It was a bit
And you
ambiguously
can only
phrased, I
ever
think.
hire a single holy order.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
can
mean,
you?
here
You
it
can't have
says,
multiple.
unlike in CK2, they will fight
Oh, yeah.
all enemies once hired. It doesn't say anything about being an attacker or a defender.
No,
So
I think
I
they
don't know,
should
I just-
add that in though.
Yeah,
Mostly
I
for
would be.
balance issues. And I could see
Yeah.
if they don't add it in, I can see it getting patched in.
Yeah.
Like for simplicity's sake, probably the easiest way to do it would be to just have it be based on, is this an offensive or a defensive war?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It
So-
feels like a simplification for new players' sake. Because I know for myself, when I've been using Holy Orders in my own campaigns, and I've at some points go, "Why aren't you fighting?" Oh shit, he's the same religion as me. Oh, it makes sense.
Yeah.
And I lose the battle that I thought I was going to win. So I can see that they're kind of making it simple for that kind of situation, but it just loses the flavor of them. They're just mercenaries now.
It could be easily exploited.
Yes.
I mean, I mean, you can definitely point to historical situations like how, you know, the Crusaders like looted Hungary, who they weren't even at war with, who was a Catholic nation, on the way to the Holy Land.
Yeah, they were hungry.
Yeah, I have a skit about that on my SoundCloud from like way back of like the King of Hungary calling the Pope. It's like, hey, yeah, if you could just remind these guys that we are Catholic, that'd be great. Yeah. So, yeah, yeah, I'll be interested to see how it plays out. So much of this is like I don't even know if
We're
it's
still
gonna be
so far out.
good or bad until I actually get to try it. So
Yeah.
That bat's just worrying.
Yeah. It's a concern, but then again, I don't really know how the mechanic works. I just think it's ambiguously phrased. Possibly.
Well,
Yeah.
we were discussing how this Grandmaster here does not look nearly appropriate for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And in EU4, they've added the ability to change how your troops look when you make a custom nation, so they are more appropriate.
Yeah.
I
thought
love
this was a
this.
thing already,
Yeah.
to be honest. I don't use it, but I thought you could already pick your sprites.
I mean, it was, but they had like 6 options, and like 90% of the sprites they've added to the game in DLC were not like selectable.
Oh, I see.
And it was super like weirdly hard to actually get it to work with mods, like because of how sprites were scripted in EU4 prior to this coming patch. Like it is a gigantic pain in the ass to change which sprites your country uses at which tech levels. Like it's way more than just changing a line in a script file, because they were kind of like hard grouped together. Like it was annoying.
a mess.
It was really annoying. Yeah.
Right.
I
So
feel
can you
in
pick
this-
different strike parts for different eras too? So you can have like...
No, I don't think
I
so.
see. So it's just... Okay.
Not
Yeah.
quite that level yet.
We do have this epic robot cavalry unit.
Yeah,
is what
of
he
course.
looks like.
Yeah, because if a Gestalt machine empire had invaded Earth in the 1400s, they obviously would have just adopted horses.
It's actually a robot horse. It's just got a very good like outer
Yeah,
design on it.
they didn't
if
bother to disguise the humanoid models, but they wanted the horses to look convincing.
I mean, they really, if they were going to model an entire unit of, robot cavalry, they could have made the robot look a little bit like an android horse. Like, give it an android leg, or like half of its face is made
Well,
of
I know
robot.
that this event is something you can only trigger by console commands, and one of the devs like made it in their free time. So,
What you need to do is rather than have have a normal horse, but then rather than legs, have those 1950s robots. They just had a wheel and a single thing that they stand on, like one thing and a wheel. That's it.
Well,
That's
here's the
what we
thing.
need.
Synthetic
If you're
doors
gonna
and
make-
cavalry should be on bikes.
Yes. Yeah.
If you're
yeah.
going to make animatronic cavalry, why do you have to have 2 separate pieces to begin with? Why
it
would-
would be
would
a road like a centaur?
I
Like
know?
a
Yeah.
robo
Centaur.
centaur. Yeah. Yeah.
Just honestly, you could just rip out of. I mean, Paradox owns the franchise anyway, so just get a BattleTech robot to be your cavalry.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't think those games use the same engine, but maybe you could find a way to import.
A model's a model. I know
A model
literally
is a model,
nothing.
yeah.
I'm fairly sure that's entirely ignorant and totally
Yeah.
wrong, but a model's a model. Pun
Just
intended.
Yeah.
Control C, Control V. There we go.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
in EU4 now. Yeah, that's how game development works.
Change the
Yeah.
0 to the 1. It's sorted. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Done.
Lag equals no.
Exactly. Hot joint equals works and sorted.
Not in fucking Stellaris. Anyway.
So I want to get the resident Brit's opinions on this.
It's filth. It's hate. It's heresy, and I hate it.
This next image.
Oh, you're talking about the flag, or just the fact that it's revolutionary in Great Britain?
The flag, yeah.
Oh, that's also heresy.
Yeah,
it's awful. Whoever picked that.
I actually messaged Groogy about it and said it was horrifyingly bad.
Well, that's for suffragettes' flag.
Yes, it's based on the suffragettes flag.
Yeah,
doesn't make it any better in my eyes.
I don't know why you would do the suffragettes flag, but
I can see maybe keeping the coloring, but the design is so basic. I don't know.
So that is the actual official revolutionary Great Britain flag now? Because I saw those colors and I immediately thought, oh, they must just let you pick whatever colors you want.
You can't do that.
When you go revolutionary. So there's no way that's the actual flag. I don't know.
Also, in the suffragettes flag, the purple represents royalty. Like the royalty that lives in all women, I think it is.
Kind of anti-revolutionary.
It was very, very Victorian, for sure.
It's just, I mean, it doesn't work for a country. It will work for the movement, clearly. But for a country's flag, it's honestly disgusting. I hate it.
Yeah, no.
I mean, revolutionary Great Britain is something that should never exist anyway. But, I mean, if it's going to exist, give it a flag that isn't awful.
Well, why is it? I don't understand.
Look at nations that, like the United States, which did revolution. Our flag is much better looking than that.
Yeah. That's the thing. I don't see why it has to be a
back then
tricolour.
too.
It's what would the flag be if it was a revolutionary Great Britain? I don't think it would be a tricolour.
I mean, freaking Victoria and Victoria and Hearts of Iron have different handmade flags for every ideology. So it seems like it wouldn't be too big of a deal to do at least some of the major nations to give them a unique revolutionary flag that's not a tricolor.
And here's the thing, historically, if this is a revolutionary flag for Great Britain, Wales, Scotland, England, Northern Ireland.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't you see each of those areas wanting a part of the flag?
Yeah,
they did with the star and a stripe representing each of the original 13 colonies at the time. When the United States formed.
When we had Cromwell controlling the country, he just used what we have now as the English flag. Yeah, just the red cross. That St. George's cross, that. That's what he used. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna do, he's like the precursor to the revolution, I guess.
Yeah, I can see in a game they want to have a very different flag just so you immediately look at it and know for gameplay reasons.
It was the OG revolution. But the French like to think that they were brave, but we were first to behead a king. We did it all first. The French were just copying us. That's all, we were a tawdry little revolution. They had the dictator afterwards. We had a dictator afterwards. Just copying us completely.
They're insanely hypocritical. It's like, oh, we're going to get rid of the royalty, and now we are the royalty. Even it's hereditary. Who will be the ruler after me? Oh, it's my son, of course. What's the difference between me and the king?
Technically,
just look over there. They're still kings.
I think we talked about this with the Medicis too. It's we're a republic. I mean, just the next doge is always going to be a member of my family who I've hand selected to be the next doge, but theoretically,
someone else could get elected.
Yeah, theoretically, you could vote for someone else.
Theoretically, there's red, white, and green, but it's horizontal, which was the Chartist flag. I'm pretty sure that would make more sense.
Color theory wise, just don't put green and purple together. They're not complementary. They make it look like your country is sickly and weak. It
reminds me of a shirt I had when I was 3 years old, which was the early 90s, late 80s fashion. That was almost not pinstripes. They were just thin stripes of green and purple. And thinking back on it, the only reason I loved it at the time was because purple was my favorite color. His
The Gamma
penis.
Day that says there, you should be able to just customize it. And I was thinking, the game probably doesn't allow you. But then I thought, yes, it absolutely does. It lets you make a flag when you do client states.
Yeah.
So let's make our own. Like,
Yeah.
why not?
Yeah.
It's been in CK2 forever. You can design your dynasty shield, so.
Yeah. Can you think of a flag with purple on it? Like a
The
country's
suffragette
flag.
flag. All right,
A country's flag with purple on it. Because I can't think of one. There probably is one.
Well, I mean,
And
there's some
someone's
good
just
ones.
googling it. I heard your keyboard. You cheat.
Well, the Byzantine flag looks good because it's got.
Oh yeah.
It's got the
purple,
royal
though.
purple, and then it's got gold on it, which is a complementary color. Like we all learned this in school. Like what looks
Well,
good together.
apparently we
and what
have
doesn't.
the Dominica flag has purple, but it's very different.
Is it
Yeah.
a block
Take a
color of
look.
purple, or is it soming like
Just take a look
an
at the stream.
addition to it?
It's
that
got a
doesn't
purple
count.
on the bird.
That's a green flag.
Yeah, I mean,
If it's an emblem, doesn't count. That's not what
It's
I'm
a
looking for.
Pretty cool flag, though. I think
mean,
that
but-
should be the flag of revolutionary Britain, to be honest.
yeah, there we
Put
go.
a fucking parrot in the middle of it, so it's nothing more revolutionary than a parrot.
Also, the Eastern Roman Empire didn't have a purple flag. It's red, mate. It's red and
Okay.
gold. Yeah.
Well,
Man, I don't know.
the video game version of the Eastern Roman flag.
I mean,
looks
no,
good.
not even EU4's Byzantium has purple. It's still red.
Well, the medieval 2 Total War version of the Byzantine
Yes.
flag,
The most historic.
which is the official one as far as I'm concerned, because that was the first time I ever learned what the Byzantine Empire was from medieval 2.
So it's like, why
yeah.
are these people in Turkey? What's that? They're not Turkish. What the hell's
Yeah,
that?
what's going on here?
Oh,
Oh.
there you go. The Spanish Republican flag.
Yeah.
Oh, of course. Yeah. Oh, that looks good. That does. To be fair, it's what red, white, red, yellow, and purple. Yeah.
Yeah.
I suppose that. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. I don't
Well,
mind purple
It's
in the
very
flag.
colorful.
I
it's
quite
not
like
very
the suffragette
British.
flag. Fair play to the
It
suffragettes. They had a
feels-
really good aesthetic going on, to be honest. Like,
It feels like it belongs on the Iberian Peninsula with what you think of with culture and food and colors and everything.
Yeah, well,
it
but
does.
look, I mean, we've got purple right next to gold, which again, complementary, and then it's got red in there, which is strong, signifies health and power and majesty. That's a good flag. Like I'm okay with that flag. I just don't think you should have purple, green, and white. Like that's like it's not an imposing color palette. It's not a
It looks like-
grand.
It's
It
awful.
looks like colors a kid would pick out to draw a painting.
Right.
Oh, that's rough.
SG Aslan once says this podcast is turning into a flag podcast, so maybe we should talk about the changes to guillotine power.
yes, yeah. Probably a good idea. My
devs
vote's on the
unaf-
Chartist
yeah.
flag, just for the thing. Just put it over Chartist flag instead. Makes more sense.
Yeah.
That's the last word on it for me.
We also have the Revolutionary Guard.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So
they're
this is the
changing,
most interesting thing.
Yeah, they're changing Revolutionary Zeal is not going to give you Republican tradition anymore. They're just moving that to or no, they removed Reform Progress gain
Gain.
to
And
Republican tradition, right?
Mhm.
Instead, and then you get special unit force limit now, which allows you to recruit Revolutionary Guards, which can be infantry, cavalry, or artillery, which is kind of interesting.
I wonder how many you're going to be able to take. Like, what is this limit going to be? Say if you are the military hegemon of your world, what's your limit going to be? Because, I mean, even Napoleon's Grand Armée didn't have that many of his super elite troops.
Yeah, what was it? Is it the Legionnaires? Is that right?
Yeah.
No,
Well, I know
he called them Giga. What do you call them? He's in chat.
in Victoria too, I eventually just replaced my entire army
Old
with guard
Guard.
units.
Yeah, but in French.
Yeah, but I don't.
Yeah.
think
it's your
that's
fellow
historically
Englishman in
accurate.
chat there who just told you it was the Old Guard.
Yeah,
Not the
because
Frenchman.
I mean, I have a terrible memory, and it doesn't.
Le Grognard.
I was going to say let old guard.
That's official now. That is official now. Yeah.
I do like that you don't have to choose one of these. They can be elite, professional, vanguard, and mass revolutionary guard. Like, they can take all the training. And I do like that. I like that it's not limited. But they're going to be expensive. Like, this is going to be you keep these guys in reserve for when you really need them, because they're going to kick the crap out of things.
You're going to pack Power Punch.
But you can decide, though, how expensive you want them to be, because there's 4 different policies you can pass for elite, professional, mass, and vanguard, which I really like. So you can kind of decide what role you want them to play in your army. I like that a lot, actually.
I mean, they're going to be more expensive anyway, I think.
Yeah. By default,
you can make them.
are.
Then you can make them another 250% more expensive. But I mean,
because
late game, when you're going to be able to take these, you're going to be swimming in cash anyway.
Yeah. Cash is no concern.
I don't think the cost is going to be the big limiting factor. It's going to be that special unit force limit.
Yeah. I just love
fun.
Any addition of special forces, because think about how much you value your special forces when you're playing Russia. You really feel like your army is unique when you're playing the Manchus. Again, when you get the banners, wow, they feel unique. Janissaries, even though Janissaries are not very useful. I don't know about you, but I always get a Janissary army just because it's it's cool to have a Janissary, isn't it?
The Streltsy from Third Rome are actually one of my favorite unit types in EU4, because they actually have a diplomatic effect if you rely on them too heavily. I would love to see more mechanics like that. Third Rome is really good if you guys haven't played it yet.
The Revolutionary Guard think you're being too much of an autocrat instead of, a revolutionary leader, and then they turn on you. Imagine.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I just love every nation to get one of these. I think they should have, Highlander units.
Yes.
That would be great. What was the American troops? They were brown coats. They were sort of guerrilla warfare.
The Minutemen.
Yeah. So having unique units for that. Every nation's got a sort of
Minutemen were more about
Minutemen were militia.
Yeah, they were more about fast response than being the most elite units, though. So I could see. Again, 1776 is so late in the game, so even as an American, it's hard for me to justify adding more American Revolution mechanics. But if they were going to do that,
we're from Firefly.
I'd say that Minutemen could maybe work kind of like Manchu banners, where if you have
Firefly, the American Revolution, same thing.
If I were going to design a Minutemen mechanic, it would be any county that has American culture and has the revolutionary zeal thing or whatever that they're adding for this expansion can raise a special unit type that's ready to go at 75% morale or something right away, and maybe gets a movement speed bonus. That seems like the most logical.
Or lower maintenance or something. It'd be something cool, right?
Because they lived at home until they got the call, and then they grabbed their guns and met up with everyone else.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Can I just point out that this Revolutionary Guard army that they've got in the screenshot, every single one of those guard regiments has been raised from Ireland. I don't know about you, but looking at the culture as well of this, I mean, they've got English as the primary culture, but 20% almost of the country being Irish. There's been some strange things happening in this campaign.
Yeah, maybe
It's an Irish Great Britain. It's
beautiful. Well, it can't be, because English is the primary culture. That's what I was going to say. It's got to be Irish, and then they've conquered everything and formed Great Britain, but that can't be the case.
They must have culture switched, right?
EU5, add local manpower. That's all I have to say.
Yes. I want that for every single one of Paradox's games.
Don't let me recruit all of my manpower just from one province.
It would also stop the issue where you get an event that's going to be you can take a 3 stability loss or lose 100,000 manpower. So you pause the game, queue up 100 dudes in one province, take the negative 100,000 manpower, and then just cancel all the units, get your manpower back, and you've lost absolutely nothing.
Also,
People were telling me to
even-
do that in our Venice game because I was getting those events. And it just feels way too gamey to me.
Oh, it is. It's 100% gaming.
even if we want to go even more crazy, local war exhaustion.
Oh.
If a regiment specifically from one county takes a lot of casualties, then that province gains like devastation or so. That would probably be a CPU nightmare, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God. Can you imagine?
yeah.
Oh.
This army is defecting because you raised them all from, say, if you're playing England, you raised them all from your holdings in France, and now it's all got sieged. So they're defecting. They're no longer going to be controlled by you because they want to go home and defend their homes from the French.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or maybe when you raise
we're
an
talking
army,
about things that are never going to be in EU.
No,
Yeah,
I
this
can
is
see
sort of-
that being in
this is
like a
Victoria.
smaller scale game. Like if they did like
Right.
another Sengoku or something that was just Japan.
Yeah.
I could see them being able to implement it there, but not with something that spans the entire world.
I could see
With
it
a known
happening in
world.
like, a Victoria game where there's like pops and there's more in-depth recruiting and stuff,
So here's
honestly,
what
I think they're going to get rid of that in Vicky 3.
Oh,
Oh,
I
really?
fear that they're going to get rid of that.
Well,
So here's a
they
way you
did
could maybe
add
do it.
pops in another game that we actually got a little bit of an update in this week.
Okay,
Oh.
let's go ahead and move on.
Before we move on, actually, I don't know if this is a new thing or if I've just never noticed this icon, but there's like a little chain icon on the EU4.
It's
You
an
see that?
updated icon, but it's been there for a long time. It's allow attachments or
you.
attach to others.
Right, I see. It's
Oh,
not
okay.
anything
But
to
that
do
icon
with,
has been updated.
Got it. I thought it was something to do with, what's it called? Authoritarianism? No, absolutism. Because absolutism is a chain too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Possibly.
Yeah.
But it's like a linked chain. A little different. But whatever. All right, so Imperator didn't give us very much. Mostly
No.
teasers.
Yeah, they talked about how kind of their dev cycle. We're not going to be seeing a lot of dev diaries right after an expansion comes out because there's not stuff to show that's meaningful at that point, which makes sense to me. Some developers, they'll start on the next project while the current one is still ongoing, but it seems like the Imperator team, their rhythm is a little bit more like, let's finish and polish this expansion, and then we'll really get going on the next one, which, I think that's totally fair.
It makes sense and it doesn't, because I guess the couple of weeks after a patch goes live, the next dev diaries are always something along the lines of a hotfix and what has changed in the patch that we've just got. I mean, I would consider that a dev diary. Maybe the wording here is that that isn't counted as a dev diary, maybe.
Well,
Yeah,
they talk
I'm
about
sure we'll still get that.
dev diaries on a weekly basis. Going forward, we'll likely have a couple weeks of downtime after a major release. Before we launch into a more packed schedule of information-filled diaries.
So I
So the
guess
way
it
they
is a
phrase
little
that,
bit
there could be
ambiguous.
dev diaries during that downtime. It's just hey, we updated this, we tweaked this, we hotfixed this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's
Yeah.
ever been an update from Paradox that hasn't had a hotfix relatively quickly afterwards to do something.
Right.
Other than when Stellaris went on holiday for Christmas and didn't fix bugs for like a month.
So the two little teaser images we got, the first one, someone pointed out to me on Twitter that it looks like all they're doing here is making like subjects be the same color on the map as their overlord, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
The second one, I have no idea. Post your theories in the comments down below. There's 4 guys, and then 10% of them are, I don't know, is that desired ratio of that pop type? Is
So
that going to be a
that
thing
symbol
now?
is manpower.
Okay.
What I and the prevailing theory thinks is that it's subject interactions that we're going to be getting. And you're going to be able to tailor your interactions with your various subjects, asking for more or less manpower.
Got
So
you. Yeah.
in this, it's going to be, in my opinion, a feudatory or a client state. And you're saying, I want 10% of your manpower every single month. That's 4 manpower. I had a look through Phrygia's vassals when this came out. There isn't any that give 4 manpower a month. There's some at 5 and there's some at 3. But I mean, numbers are always tweaked and changed, so I'm fairly confident that's going to be it.
And the fact that they pushed these 2 images together does lead towards them being connected in some way.
Yes, for sure.
Well, and Arheo has talked to me in the past about interactions with subjects and playing as a subject are things that he feels like are not where they need to be, and that he would like to work on them at some point in the future. So that would make a lot of sense.
Yeah, vassals. I think it's already been confirmed that vassals are getting an update in Menander. I think that was confirmed a couple of months ago. So I think that sort of lends pretty solid weight to the theory that this is about vassals. I will point out, though, that either this is interestingly cropped, but you can sort of see just to the sides of it that there's another very similar box to the side. And I'm thinking, on the left side, it's maybe going to be the amount of cash you get from them. And on the right side's, getting more than just manpower. It's going to be tailoring each individual part. I mean, it teases a big vassal overhaul, which is exciting. Yeah.
Well, like the first game I played with Athens in, I think it was 1.1, maybe 1.2. Like, I didn't even understand how to break free from Phrygia. Like, it never tells you, oh, you have to have a negative opinion with them to be called into the independence war. Like, if you're not the one who triggers it. Like, there was so much stuff that was, like, not even explained about playing as a vassal. And just there's so little you can do to kind of influence your liege or to maybe, like, undermine your liege. To aid you in breaking free. So I'm more interested in what vassals are going to get in terms of new options as opposed to what overlords are going to get.
Yeah, for sure. So, I had a campaign as Byblos in, I think it was probably 1.1 as well, or maybe 1.0. And they start as a tributary of Phrygia as well, same as Athens. Or Athens is a feudatory, but it's a subject of Phrygia. And I didn't know about needing to be under a certain loyalty threshold to be called in the war. And Phrygia ended up in a rebellion. All of their subjects joined in this rebellion. And I was there not joining in because I wasn't disloyal at the time.
Yeah, that's exactly what happened to me. And I was so frustrated. I was like, let me into the rebellion.
Exactly. As a tributary, though, I could have I broke it at any time and then declared on them myself. So that's what I did. And that's how I got the Phoenician Purple achievement. It was great.
Well, and also some things in terms of playing as vassals currently, or at least the last time I played as one, which I think was Judea a long time ago, was very hard to see how you were supposed to interact or how you could interact, or I ended up even free in a war I hadn't even signed up for, and I was like, okay, I guess we're free now. Don't know how.
Yeah, it's like they're like another major nation can demand your freedom in a peace deal whether you like it or not. Which is kind of weird. I mean this era is just so ripe for having interesting vassal interactions that don't exist in other eras with, feudatories and tributaries and, paying, money to the Scythians to not raid you and, all that kind of stuff that was going on, and settling Germanic tribes within your borders. That's a little further down the timeline, which I still hope we're going to get a timeline extension at some point. But, so
I think one of the big problems with playing as, say, a feudatory at the moment is, so imagine you are Athens. You are the leader of Athens. You want to break free from Phrygia. Phrygia ends up going to war with the Seleucids and Egypt and Macedon and Thrace, and they're getting their arse kicked. Does that not sound like the best time to break free and attack?
You should be able to, especially if the Seleucids show up and they're like, so you're on the Phrygian team. We're gonna burn your city to the ground. I should just be like,
nothing you can do.
actually, I hate these guys. How about you don't burn our city to the ground, and I'll just use this opportunity to declare independence. So, I mean, I could see how, from a gameplay perspective, it would be exploitable, but that's somewhere where I'd lean more toward, if this makes sense logically that we could do this, just let us do it.
Yeah.
So
it's just the most logical time to break free is the only time you're not able to.
Yeah, it's silly. It's silly that, just because you're already in a war and your lands are being threatened because you're stuck in this war that your overlord started. Yeah.
Well, your lands might not even be threatened, but might be getting attacked from India, It's like...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Valorgain says, okay, TJ, I'm your overlord now. That's fine. I would rather just switch loyalty to the Seleucids for a while than to have them pillage my temples and shit. Like, that, I'd be down for that.
Away your
Alexander...
happy little holy items.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of Alexander's conquest was convincing the governors and satraps and vassals to switch sides. And that's not a part of the game.
He would not have been able to conquer as much of Persia as he did if those structures weren't already in place. That, like, all right, we are used to being a satrap of a large foreign empire, and okay, you're our overlord now.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same with how Seleucus gained control of Mesopotamia and all the land that the Seleucids have. I mean, he went to Babylon with 500 men, won a single battle, and convinced all of the satraps and governors to join him. And that's how Seleucus became the Seleucid Empire. And it's just, I feel like that needs to be possible. An expansion focusing on how governors work would be delightful.
Yeah, I would also like there's interesting ways which you can do vassals too. Like with Hearts of Iron, you can say you're playing a member of the Commonwealth, you fight alongside someone for a good while, and you gain prominence by fighting alongside them. So I'd be interested in mechanics where you're not always trying to like directly rebel against someone, but maybe work alongside them to gain prominence.
I mean, Hoi 4 kind of has a similar problem right now, which is like if you want to go like communist India, but World War II starts before the revolution happens, you're stuck in the Allies permanently. Like you can't really break free from, Britain's
you can't
faction.
say we're done with this war. We're going to flip sides.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that exactly what Romania and Bulgaria did during World War II?
Yeah,
they started getting invaded by the Soviets. Like, okay, we're on your side now.
Yeah.
I mean, guess,
Italy.
Italy did, yeah.
Fucking Italy.
Italy's a big one, yeah, of course. Yeah.
I mean, they do it with events for Vichy France, but that's like they form a new tag for that, so it kind of doesn't count.
But it's weird when it's like, okay, we just, beheaded Lord Linlithgow and threw his body into the Ganges, and all right, go team, let's go fight the Nazis. Yeah.
Still a member of a Commonwealth, though, like.
Right, yeah. I mean, we obviously, no hard feelings. Yeah, so.
Valagain says there, I mean, they didn't switch side, the fascists didn't switch side. Right, but you're not playing as a government type in these games. You're playing as the essence of the country.
Right.
And the essence of the country did switch sides.
I think that's actually the exact words that Johan used when he said that.
Yeah.
Like, playing as the spirit of the country or something,
Spirits and essences of countries is we're going to take a look at a new game that isn't even out yet.
So we've been looking at some other games that we might want to talk about, when Paradox news is a little slow. And Humankind, which is kind of the Civ competitor that's being developed by the guys who did Endless Legend and Endless Space.
Oh, they made those. I love those. I didn't know that it was the same people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. At this point, they've released all of the
Bronze Age and the Classical Age, and I've got them all here. We can flip through them. We're going to start here with... this is Classical. Hold on a second. We're going to start here with the Bronze Age. Yeah,
November 26th, the Assyrians was the first one. So,
it's not in quite that order. You're in the order you get it in here.
Well, I know very little about Humankind, other than the very first trailer that they brought out. I know very little. Would you say it has the essence or the spirit of Civ?
It seems more like it has the Both?
Sorry, I just tried to link it up there. It was teed up for me. But yeah, I mean, the gameplay sort of seemed like that way. It's like hex-based city building, empire building, maybe.
Well, like one of the big differences, which is why it's going to be relevant to this discussion, is you pick a civilization for each era. Like you don't have Americans, running around drinking Bud Light and playing Yankee Doodle on the didgeridoo in 6000 BC. So like
and
you'll
you're not
have
playing as Babylonia in the 21st century.
Right. So you'll have.
And this is why Beyond Earth is my favorite Civ game, because I don't like seeing George Washington with a stone axe in the Stone Age. It's just not something I enjoy seeing.
What I've grasped so far from their tweets, they don't really have dev diaries, is that each era you pick a new civilization, but they still, like what you played in the previous era, still affects what happens in that current era.
Right, so you'll still have the legacy, like you'll still have the unique buildings that you built as, Assyria or whatever, even when you progress to like the modern age, it'll leave a mark on your civilization, but you could go, okay, we're gonna do, the Zhou, which are like the early Chinese faction in the ancient era, and then we're gonna become Greek in the classical era, and then we'll become Vikings in the medieval era, and then, we'll have like this kind of story.
You're customizing your nation.
Right.
Essentially, it just evolves as it goes on, right?
I mean, it doesn't really sound like an evolution there, more of like a revolution. Like it doesn't. It doesn't seem like a natural evolution to go from Chinese to Greek. If I'm being honest.
We don't know exactly how it's going to work yet, so
that's fair.
Yeah, I mean, the story could be that, these invaders came in and they took over and now we're this. But, we still have the legacy of what we were before.
Like the Greeks invading Egypt, and Egypt before and after Alexander's invasion is quite a different place.
Very true. Very.
They do have some small dev videos, as Agmade is sharing.
Right, yeah.
A bit like Greco-Indian Bactria as well, I guess. Sort of similar.
So, for the Bronze Age, we have the Zhao.
Yep, which is the kind of
early Chinese.
Proto-Chinese,
regarded literarily as like the first Chinese dynasty. It's kind of disputed if they actually existed historically or not.
It was pre the Empire, wasn't it? Pre-Han, so. But this is when you can find all the beautiful little artifacts that you can find in the Chinese valleys,
Yeah. So they get some horse-towed vehicles. We got the Phoenicians, who obviously are really good at sailing. Yeah. All about those boats.
They have havens settled in the center of many bays.
Yeah.
So they might have more protected ports.
Right. It's the Phoenicians were, going out and making colonies. One of them you might have heard of.
They also say down here, like the Zhao are aesthete?
Yeah.
Aesthete? The Phoenicians are merchants.
So these are like for focuses, basically, right?
Yeah, it seems like what you want to focus on, culture or money or whatever. Yeah.
So I think it was explained at Gamescom that like the way that you win essentially is not there's not like one way of winning. It's not like a cultural victory or something, but you sort of gain points somehow. And
as somebody who is very into Germanic history, I like the fact that it's all kind of based on fame. And like the fame you accumulate over the ages is kind of what determines your final score. That's it. That's pretty metal. We got the Olmecs, which were I believe they're the earliest like monumental architecture in Central America.
Pre-Mayans.
Precursor to the Mayans and the Aztecs. Like the Mayans and the Aztecs learned a lot from them. and Teotihuacan, which was another civilization that kind of is thought to have, possibly been a cultural descendant of theirs. Nubia, so that's Upper Egypt.
Which is
always
the southern
got confused
part of Egypt.
Because Upper Egypt is Lower Egypt in my head, right?
Right, yeah. They didn't
the
think in
easiest
terms
way
of,
to think of it is in terms of the Nile. The
it's
upper
up
part
to
of the
that.
Nile. Yeah.
right.
Yeah. But
their-
it's
their
down
whole-
on a map. It doesn't compute.
Well, their
I
whole-
mean,
their
we've
whole
only
orientation
arbitrarily
of the world
decided
was-
that
yeah.
north is up.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
With
Well, what I'm saying is the Nile should flow the other way just for convenience sake.
should just flow up into the mountains of Ethiopia.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, they were very good with archers. If you played the very good, whatever you think about Civ 6, the Civ 6, like Civilizations of the Nile scenario is very, very good. It's one of the best, like, prepackaged scenarios to come with a Civ game.
Yeah.
I liked it a lot. And they had their own pyramids too, which is cool.
Which were like pointier, right? I mean, we were like
Yeah.
a little bit.
They're steeper.
Yeah, isn't it? It's is it Sudan that has actually got the most amount of pyramids in the world? Like right now, it's not Egypt for sure.
I think so. I think it's Sudan.
Yeah, because the Nubians were much more prolific pyramid builders than the ancient Egyptians.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I guess that it does make sense if you're building them for more than just a pharaoh. So one pyramid a generation versus this guy's important enough. You can have one. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Well, and
I
think
guess
of
the materials were there
Nubians.
too, right?
If you think of Imperator Rome, and there's Kush, this is kind of where the Nubians were.
Right.
Yes.
Which, by the way, Kush is a lot of fun. One of my favorite in Imperator. One of my three favorite
goes the
Imperator runs was playing as Kush and restoring the kicking out the
Hellenics.
the Hellenics and restoring the pharaoh to all of Egypt. That was a really fun run.
A New Kingdom
Invading
did
the Nile
really well on
Delta.
my channel when I did a run as
Yeah.
that.
So we got the Mycenaeans.
Who are
Yeah,
warmongers.
Proto-Greeks. Is that right?
One of the earliest Greek-speaking peoples that we know about.
Yeah, this is like around
yeah.
Troy time, right? I believe. Is that
Yeah,
right?
so they're one part of the equation of like classical Greece. I think they were the more Western Greek
I think
civilization, and then the
they
Ionians.
were where Sparta and Athens and stuff later rose up.
Right, and then the Ionians, who were from more like Asia
Ionia.
Minor, invaded eventually, and then they kind of blended together to form sort of the classical Greek literary culture that we know about. I'm not a huge expert on Greek history, but that's how
this
I
is like
remember
the super classics, right? This is Homer and the Trojan Wars and stuff. I
Right.
believe.
Yes.
Right,
So
exactly.
I know. I went
I
to
just watched
regular comp, so I don't know my classics.
I just watched like a documentary on YouTube about like the collapse of the Bronze Age a week or two ago. It's the only reason I remember where they are on the map.
Such a fascinating topic.
And they're definitely in the lower part where the Spartans and Athens.
If you want to play in that period as well, there's a fantastic mod for Imperator called the Bronze Age. Highly recommended. The Mycenaeans are a part of it as well.
Nice.
And it's before phalanxes too, right? Which is a big thing that people always think about it. Yeah, it's like and before even like siege equipment too. So this is where like the Trojan walls and stuff was like so significant, and the Cyclopean wars are so significant because they didn't really have siege towers.
I mean, siege equipment, as in like catapults and stuff. I'm fairly sure, wasn't it one of the advisors to Alexander the Great's dad, Philip II? I think that was the first use of siege weaponry. Although I might be mixing that up with something else. I'm fairly sure that's what
I'm
it
not
is.
sure on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm
I know
going
this
to
is
Google
before
it. I'll
that,
be
though.
right back.
Which is
Yeah,
why,
the
like, why
warmonger here.
mythically they had to build a horse, right, to sneak in.
Okay, now here's we're getting into my shit here. The Hittites. I'm a fan of the Hittites. They were kind of a horse culture. They're believed to be some of the earliest Indo-Europeans to kind of make their way onto the world stage. They spoke a branch of the Indo-European languages that is now extinct, but yeah, they're probably my favorite Bronze Age civilization. Yeah, I'm into the Hittites. I'll probably start a lot of campaigns with them.
Warmongers too, because they're good at Hittiting stuff. Yeah.
Yes.
Nailed that one. Nailed that.
That's where they got their name from. Was, they hit stuff a lot. Yeah. So
I looked
here
it
we
up.
have a new
I was
group.
right.
We have agrarians.
Yeah, no, this is the Indus Valley civilization, right?
Exactly.
Which didn't have a military that we know of.
Yeah,
There's no
it's
archaeological evidence of it.
exactly. It's one of the only ancient civilizations that like they showed no signs of having like a military elite or even like internal conflict. So it's kind of weird.
Probably why they no longer exist.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see how you would play this if you have no military.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to find out what those runners do, because it's a unit. So,
Yeah.
Lots and lots of diplomacy. That guy
Morale
is going to be
damage.
our military.
You don't want to fight us. Your gods will be angry for slaying people that don't fight back. You will get no honor from it. Do you understand?
Well, the other weird thing is like we don't even know why their civilization fell. Like invasions,
Because there's
a
no
possibility,
evidence
but,
of warfare. That seems fairly self-evident.
Like it's
like-
like a lot of their cities were just like abandoned. Like they just
they're
were like
fully. There's no signs of scorching or destruction or anything. They're just perfect. Like everyone
They
just
could have been,
decided,
like,
let's grab all our
outbred.
stuff and walk out.
JS in chat says the runners just run away. That would be kind of hilarious if their early military strategy was just kiting barbarians around the map until they can adopt the martial culture.
That's what civilization there's no, because they just ran away. That's all they did, left over buildings.
Just so I don't leave this thread open, to go back to the topic of siege engines, the ballista and the very the earliest evidence of torsion siege weapons was put it during the reign of Philip II of Macedon. So I was right.
Okay.
Yes,
right.
Okay. Now moving back to Humankind.
Yeah.
So imagine how powerful walls would have been like back then. Like, geez, don't know what to do with those things.
I mean, warfare is all for quite a long time has been a case of what advances faster, defenses or offenses.
Yeah.
And it's up until very recently, things were like keeping pace, and now that's why people don't wear much armor anymore because bullets do a lot of damage. Not much armor can stop it.
It's true.
Well, speaking of damage, we have a new group here, expansionists, the Assyrians.
Boo.
So you have to wonder, how is expansionist different from warmonger?
Bronze Age Nazis. Boo.
Okay.
No,
You're gonna have to expand on that because I have no idea what you're talking about.
If you ranked every civilization that has ever existed on the planet Earth by how much of a jerk they were, the Assyrians would be in the top 5. They were just awful. They loved to rule by fear and torture people and invent new ways of torturing people. I mean, obviously with anything that happened this long ago, you do have to ask yourself how much of this was rumors that their enemies made up about them and how much actually happened, but we actually do have pretty good evidence that they were just enormous jerks.
I mean,
let's commence
Rome
the
was
booing
the
again,
same,
then.
right? So it's and they won, and they got to write their own history, and still they said, we do all this awful shit all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And the Assyrians did too. They had 2 big empires, the Assyrian Empire and the Neo-Assyrian Empire, and they were very proud. They built monuments of all the ways that they tortured people. So,
they sound like massive assholes.
Yeah.
Yes, Lexamore, everyone in ancient times was jerks, but I feel like the Assyrians stand out. Like they excelled at being jerks.
They were the super jerks.
So they're the heels of the Bronze Age, if you will.
Well, and then the flip side, we have the scientist here.
Right.
Yeah,
Babylonians.
Definitely the flip side, if you're talking about a culture that was so heinous, the Babylonians, quite the opposite. They were very accepting of a lot of different cultures.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they also are part of why the Assyrian Empire collapsed. So,
Commence the yays!
Get wrecked, Assyria. So they get some new unique infantry units, and then astronomy, which they were very into. So,
honestly, in the Civ games, I always enjoyed playing as the Babylonians, like Civ 4, Civ 5, because they got such heavy tech bonuses.
Yes.
Yeah. We're also really into writing too. Didn't they have that fantastic cuniform script? That was like one of the first recorded.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
written.
it started with the Sumerians, but I think they had. Yeah, they wrote a lot of stuff down.
I mean, they probably inherited it from the Sumerians,
Code.
considering they're both from the same place.
Yeah, Hammurabi's Code, which is like one of the earliest comprehensive law codes in recorded history, was Babylon. So yeah.
Which is
then
modern day Iraq, is that right? I don't know.
Roughly, yeah.
Got ya.
Yeah, most
Mouth
the
of
core of
the
it
Tigris
was,
and Euphrates rivers.
Got ya.
Yeah.
And then for our last Bronze Age, we have the Egyptians, who are builders.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, makes sense.
But not as buildy with pyramids as the
They didn't
Nubians.
build as many, but they built bigger ones.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
I think it's quality over quantity with the Egyptians, right?
Oh, then
They really
fighting
outdid
words.
themselves.
Gonna bring my Markabatas after that.
And then this is the Bronze Age, so the Egyptians actually should be using chariots.
Yeah.
Unlike Total War, where they continue to use chariots well into the Hellenistic period, and crocodile warrior fanatics of Sobek, like fan fiction bullshit like that. Yeah, that unit roster was hilarious. It was just hilarious.
Croxagor's totally fine. Chariots in my fucking Total War game? Are you having a laugh?
That's what I'm interested about the new Total War. With Total War Troy, I'm interested to see if they will go down the historical approach and have, there'll be no siege equipment and no, basically no, what's it called? What are they called? The spears. I just said it a second ago.
Hoplites.
Hoplites, that's right.
Or
Or do they
hoplites.
go with a Hollywood thing and have siege equipment and hoplites, right?
Yeah,
'Cause that's what you think
well,
of when you
it's-
think of ancient Greece.
Well, it
Exactly.
depends. Are they doing the Three Kingdoms level, or are they doing one of their? I don't remember which ones are the failed games, but
God, I'm just
Yeah,
now
I
thinking of the
don't
movie
think we know
Troy.
yet, that's the thing.
God, that movie was arse. Hated that movie.
No, I think you meant to say that movie was abs.
That it was very much that too. Although
Yeah,
on the abs
that-
scale, I think we've got 300 winning in the case
That's
of
true. That's
Greek
true.
abs. 300 wins.
Yeah, fair enough.
Achilles looked like Brad Pitt. Well, yeah, apparently. I mean, I will defend the idea that he was blonde, but Brad Pitt, probably not.
Yeah.
Brad Pitt doesn't look good blonde.
I don't remember.
I mean,
that
Brad
movie
Pitt
at
always
all, to
looks
be honest.
good,
I think I've
but
expunged
it
it from
didn't
my
look good in that
memory like
movie.
some
It was
sort of
weird.
traumatic event.
well, these are all
Caption
the.
bot.
Oh,
Well,
nice.
yeah.
The CC's just started working. As soon
Well,
as
no,
I said
but-
Brad Pitt
No,
doesn't
I
look
forgot
good
to turn it
blonde.
on. You guys got to remind me to turn it on
Here we
because
go.
my
Clutch noun declension here, because they're talking about a male, so it's blonde without an E at the end. If you're talking about a female, blonde does have an E at the end. That is one of the only adjectives left in the English language that actually follows the old English gender rules.
I didn't
So
know
there you
that.
go.
I just spell it with an
Yeah.
E every time, to be honest.
So
Like,
a man is blonde, BLOND. A woman is blonde, BLONDE.
I didn't know that. I assumed it was like
yeah.
an Americanism removing the E, to be honest.
No,
what I
yeah,
thought it
that's-
was.
No, they only remove U's.
Yeah, we take U's out of everything.
Take the the S out of maths. So.
Yeah,
That too.
yeah.
well, honestly, the closed captions, y'all got to remind me to turn it on because my brain's spacing. And when I'm gone on maternity leave, guys, chat, you got to remind whether it's TJ or Lambert hosting this to turn it on.
Yeah, I forgot half the time too, and I don't even have an excuse, so I can't really give you a hard time about it. Yeah.
All right, well, these were all of our Bronze Age civilizations, and just yesterday, I believe, they finished announcing the Classical Age civilizations.
Right. So we're moving forward a notch in
Yes.
Well, this is an era I have a little bit more familiarity with.
Yes.
We get the
Yeah,
Celts
the
Celts. Okay, well, I'm just going to pass this
Agrarian.
one over to DJ.
I'm very excited. Obviously, I mean, other than the Norse and like the Germanic tribes, the Celts are always my favorite civilization to play.
And
they get
Jay, in chat, we don't know if they have a system of representing rulers or not.
right.
So far, I don't
yeah,
think
as
we've
far as
seen
I've
anything
seen.
about that.
So they have warriors that intimidate the enemy by screaming, sporting shaggy hair, and fighting completely naked.
Yeah, I think
find
actually,
it very
I think
relatable.
in the last trailer, I think they did show it off. Actually, I think there is a ruler system
Mm-hmm.
in the last trailer. Don't know the
Okay.
details though.
Okay,
So-
so we'll have to look at that. Yeah,
What I do know about the Celts is that they invented male armor. And
they
Did
know a lot
they?
of stuff. Even
Yeah.
the Roman
Well, it's-
legionary helmet was based on a Celtic helmet.
yeah,
The Romans stole a lot of shit from the Celts.
I mean, that was kind of their whole deal, stealing shit. But anyway,
Yeah.
but no, they always have the Celtic special unit is naked warriors, or they paint their entire bodies blue, and they're just.
which
I hate that. They wore armor. Come on, get a grip.
they wore very heavy armor usually, especially the chieftain's guard. Oh, that's right. They did show off that ruler designer thing in one of the
I was going to say
trailers.
that can't be a historical ruler. Don't think they dyed their hair blue and that. Maybe they did.
It's Celtic woads. That's what it is.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Well, it looks,
Honestly,
it looks
he
like
looks
you
better
could-
as marble.
Yeah, create your leader, share it with the world.
Yeah.
Well,
I
also,
preferred him in marble.
Celts is a pretty broad term. I mean, you
Yes.
had like the Galatians who lived in, Asia Minor all the way out to like the Picts in like far-flung northern Scotland. Like it's not like they all use the same form of warfare or whatever. But yeah, the Nemeton was like a center of Celtic worship. I'm very cool to see that represented. In your Nemeton, these gray stone walls are cold and silent as the fallen. You know what that quote's from? I'll give you a retweet on Twitter or something.
Spider-Man.
Of course, we have
Yes,
everyone's
obviously.
favorite.
In before another
Spider-Man
TJ
64,
Boo.
wasn't it?
Boo!
Rome is not a warmonger. Rome is expansionist, likely because they did vassals and such, which I'm guessing may be the difference.
I don't know. Are the warmongers going to be extracting tribute from people, maybe, whereas the expansionists are more into conquest or colonization? I'm not sure how that's going.
Well, except the
I
Romans
think
did a
Rome
lot
can
of
fit into both.
Yeah.
both. Yeah.
Like, I wonder if expansionist has more to do with like conquering barbarians and like settling new cities, and then warmonger is more about direct conquest. But Rome and Assyria did both of those things. So
Booing Rome, that's crucifixion. You don't know TJ very well. He will boo
Yeah.
until he doesn't have a voice left.
exactly.
Now, they were the Nazis of the ancient world, as my history teacher would say quite a lot.
Well, and of course, look at this. The special unit is the Praetorian Guards, so it's not legions.
No, I mean,
Yeah,
Praetorian Guards
that's
is
kinda
a lot
interesting.
later
Which
than...
makes me think about the other civilizations. Like, are the special units really, really, really special and not like something in Civ where you're just like, oh, this is what I'm going to build only
Yeah, just
because that's what we're good at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, the Praetorian Guards were mainly like good at killing their own commanders and appointing somebody new as emperor. So, that's yeah.
I didn't know this about the archers, though. It was originally meant to purify the soldiers as they walked through. Is that right? That's interesting. I never knew
Well,
that.
the archers were on the Pomerium, which was a region around Rome that you were not allowed to bring arms through. Like, it was death sentence if you brought weapons through the Pomerium. And the archers were there as well. And there was a funny I can't remember which guy it was. It may have been Pompey. He conquered a region, and then to show off his conquest, they had a triumph. But his chariot, which was, I think, being drawn by elephants, couldn't fit through the arches, so he had to leave it there. Or I think, you're not allowed to walk around it. Like, the Pomerium was very, not spiritualistic, but it was symbolic. Like there wasn't a wall. It was just the arches, and you weren't allowed to cross anywhere else but through the arches. If you couldn't fit, get fucked. Really?
That's it, yeah. Elephants included. The elephants couldn't even go around it.
Yeah, if you want to know more about this subject, I really recommend Historia Civilis on YouTube. Fantastic channel. Has a really, really big, in-depth look at everything Roman.
Mm-hmm. And it was a problem too because the British hadn't invented queuing yet, so they couldn't get through in an orderly fashion. Yeah.
Actually, no. If you look at the documentary Asterix and Obelix in Britain, you'll find that the British did do
the documentary. Yeah.
Well, next up,
you're
we
wrong
have
about the tea because
Persians.
actually Obelix introduced tea to Britain as a magic potion.
Okay.
So
Yeah, Persian. They got the Immortals.
Of course,
they got the Satrap Palace. I'm curious how that's going to work.
Why do the Immortals not have silver masks on? What? This is crazy.
It was not directed by Zack Snyder. Yeah,
you mispronounced his first name, Hack Snyder.
Oh, no, I'm sorry.
Hacks apart movies and make them bad.
The Dawn of the Dead remake was good.
No,
okay?
I agree with that. Anything he touched with DC was fucking awful.
Yeah.
I did enjoy 300. I will say that as well.
It's a fun movie.
I enjoyed 300 when I was 17. I'm not sure that I enjoy it now.
Well, the Persians are also expansionist.
Right.
Makes sense. They were a pretty big empire after all.
And now we have... And here for our Mesoamerican, we have the Maya.
Yep. Got some Javelineers. Got some Mayan temples, appropriately.
Yeah. I'm not going to try and pronounce it either. Don't worry.
Kuna.
Yeah. We'll go with that. I don't know what it is.
Kuna. I can't do a glottal stop.
I'm assuming for the next one they'll eventually add Aztecs, but it makes sense that the Mayans and the Aztecs did not really live at the same time.
Yeah, I mean the Aztecs would be more like Renaissance era. So yeah.
I mean, it's one of those things that you're fun facts you never knew, and it's like the Oxford University was built before the Aztecs went not extinct, were like not a thing anymore, and that's a thing that people just don't realize. It's like set in the same kind of way as there's a longer period of time between Cleopatra and the pyramids being built than there is between us and Cleopatra.
Yeah,
right.
And there's also like the Incas. The Incas were only a nation for about an empire for about 100 years before the Spanish arrived and killed them all with disease.
Yeah, the Mexica, who are like the actual ethnicity that made up the Aztec ruling class, I don't think even moved into what we now call the Valley of Mexico until like the 1300s, maybe something like that. Don't quote me on that, but yeah.
Built a city on a lake, which
yeah.
in hindsight was pretty good, but like, imagine doing that, rocking up and going, where we gotta build a city? I know, in the middle of this fucking lake. Like, what the hell?
Well, everywhere else was taken.
Yeah, but like, what committee decided that? Can you imagine that? Like, where are we gonna build? By next to the lake? No. The middle of it.
The eagle on a cactus decided that.
Of course.
I think it was eating a snake.
Apparently, CaptionBot says the Cleopatra committee decided that we were going to fight next to the lake. So,
the Aztecs were originally refugees, and that they were pushed into the lake, being refugees. And if you want to learn about that, Kings and Generals, really good video.
Cool.
Right.
I love my history YouTubers.
We have the Marians, which we all know from Imperator Rome.
Yeah.
First, big empire to unite. To conquer all of India, most of India.
And here's where you have your
pronounce
first
his name.
elephant soldiers.
Chandragupta
Maurya, yeah. So yeah, we're...
And they're also aesthete. What is aesthete?
I mean, it's got to come from the same thing as aesthetic.
Stuff, right? Yeah.
If
you're an aesthete, I think
aesthete is a person who has or affects to have a special appreciation of art and beauty.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah. We haven't heard anything about like how religion's going to work yet, but it'll be interesting if like, Buddhism might arise during this era and be something you have to deal with.
Yeah.
So, Yeah.
Here we go. My favorite civilization to play in Age of Empires 2.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
Huns.
Look at that.
I like how
gorgeous.
everything's got like, oh, special unit is, hey, it's a Praetorian Guard or it's a javelin thrower, and then it's this like, our special unit is a horde.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, it's special unit, it's horse archers. No, it's a horde of dudes. It's just a horde.
Which apparently comes from the Hunnic word Ordu, which is
Ordu,
their unique building. Yeah.
Also,
That's right.
that's a different thing as well. We've got warmonger, expansionist, and militarist. Difference between them?
Well, or maybe we haven't seen a warmonger here for this age yet. There may be
maybe
another one.
the archetypes change per age, maybe?
Yeah, maybe warmongers turn
I
into...
think was it militarist was
perhaps.
Warmonger or is it separate?
Oh,
Warmonger
maybe
was
look at
definitely
the
its own thing, yeah.
look at the symbol next to it. What's the symbol like for warmonger?
So 2 cross swords for
Hold on.
militarists.
Because it could be that these things are linked.
Warmonger has the cross swords.
Yeah, so it might just be a different name for the same thing.
Yeah, and here's the cross swords.
With
You know what it
laurels.
might also be? It might be a different name in its period of development. Maybe they changed it in the last, I don't know when the first
That
original
too.
one.
Yeah.
That too, yeah.
So what again is expansionist? What kind of symbol do they have?
Expansion.
Was it like a sort of flag being waved?
Yeah, it's a flag.
Science is an atom. Yeah, flag. Yeah.
And a star. The builders are cogs. Okay.
Right, and
Okay.
next, here's our scientists. We have our Greeks.
Oh, yes.
So I guess if
yes.
you want to go really heavy scientists, you'd go Babylonian to Greek.
That's not how you hold a spear when fighting. Stupid. That's a javelin, mate. He's throwing that spear. He's not fighting in a hoplite fucking phalanx with
Well,
it.
maybe that's what he's doing. Maybe he's about to throw
You know what? He's
Well,
just
then he's no
flexing his
longer a bloody
muscles.
hoplite, is he?
He's just
He's lost
showing
his
off,
bloody
you know. He's
finger.
like, oh, look at me. Welcome to the gun show now. That's what he's doing.
Did hoplites not carry javelins?
I mean, they carried their spears to stab people with them. They weren't really.
Well, they
javelins.
should also have javelins. I mean, otherwise they're just bad at Bannerlord. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, you've got 4 slots for weapons. You know, you got to
Like,
Hell
utilize them.
Tastes had javelins and
Yeah.
light shields.
But
Yeah.
that's not a hoplite, is it? It's,
Oh, Hell Task.
you don't. I hate it. I hate when things don't know. It's like it's basic human anatomy. Your wrists don't work that way. You got no. It's like anytime I see in a movie that's like a historical or fantasy one, and the guy turns his sword so he's using it backhand. Fucking hate that. I hate it so much.
You got to show off the biceps. That's what you got to do. That's the point in
Yeah,
fighting.
that's the most
Rip
yeah,
off your
that's the most
sleeves,
important
then.
part. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
The
here,
ice pick grip does
interesting-
not work with a sword. You lose all your reach, you lose all your power. You're a bloody fool.
But
And you don't
Okay,
look
looking
cool.
at this-
You look like an idiot.
The Greeks are scientists, but they build the amphitheaters, which are for performances, songs, dance, culture stuff. So
Yeah. So maybe they're like
Interesting.
they're basic civ like bonuses that you just get all the time will be science focused, but then their unique building is based on culture, or maybe they'll have some way to turn
like a passive
science
thing.
into culture. We don't even know how the resource system is going to work. We're just assuming it's going to be like civ. So
Yeah.
yeah. Yes.
We
Correct
have
anatomy
the
in art.
dots.
I sleep. Biceps in art. Pog me up.
Yeah. So we got the Goths, the early Germanic, very early Germanic people. They got the tumulus, which is the sort of passage tomb that they were known for, and Gothic cavalry. A lot of people don't associate Germanic civilization with cavalry, but the Goths were actually quite good at it. They might have learned from the Huns. There's some crossover in literature there.
Well, weren't the Goths one of the people that were driven out by the Huns? That was part of
Exactly.
the barbaric. Yeah,
Yeah, they
Great
were
migration.
living.
that's it.
They were living around kind of sort of like Lithuania, Estonia, I want to say, like the Baltic coast, and they got driven like west and south.
Where did they end up?
isn't-
with
isn't
Goth?
there a
Well, you had the
theory
Visigoths, right? Which were where did the Visigoths ended up? They went to
Yeah,
Rome,
the-
didn't they?
Well, the Visigoths ended up in like France and Spain, like southern France and Spain, and then the Ostrogoths
North Africa.
eventually conquered Rome. The Vandals were the ones that went to North Africa.
That's right, yeah. Which is amazing to think, like, you know, the Germanic peoples in North Africa, right? Lombards
crossed over the Strait of Gibraltar,
Lombards in Italy,
yeah.
Isn't one of the
Saxons,
theories about where the Goths came from also Gotland, or is that just they got similar names, they're probably the same?
We're not sure. I mean, there's Gotland, the island, and then there's also Geataland, which is now part of Sweden, which is where the Geats, like Beowulf, where his people came from, and probably all of those ethnic names are related somehow. We just don't know how exactly.
If only
those
these
GT names
wrote more.
It's incredible when you look at those maps for migrations, just how far people went, and what kicked it off was essentially there's climate change happening, and also basically a rise in a force in Central Asia of the Huns, which were also driven off by what was the name of the people who basically pushed the Huns westward anyway?
Xiongnu, or was that for the Mongols?
Well, there's some linguistic evidence that the Xiongnu, who the Chinese talked about, were the Huns, or they were different groups of Huns. We don't know. I mean, it's a
long ago.
It's just it's amazing how a sort of a chain reaction that started in Central Asia essentially led to all the German migrations, which led to the fall of the Roman Empire, which is just it's amazing.
I mean,
dominoes.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's
the
amazing
reason that the Eastern Romans fell because of the Ottomans. The Ottomans, if you trace their lineage back, they also go to Central Asia as well.
Central Asia, yeah, it's the source. Yeah. The source of all great fallen Roman. That's it. As soon as a Roman appears, that's it. Central Asia, beeline straight for him.
Just a beacon goes up that's like, we must unite the Central Asian tribes. Yeah. The Roman threat has arisen again.
Well,
they're like the contingency in Stellaris.
We have the Carthaginians here.
Yeah. So you can go directly from Phoenician to Carthaginian there. They got their war elephants. They got their awesome ports.
I mean, you know that they're using war elephant as the emblematic unit because of Hannibal. Very few people remember or know that when he crossed the Alps, he only ended up on the other side with one. Right. All the rest died in the Alps,
and a lot of his army were Celtic mercenaries. So
I mean that was the way that the Carthaginians fought.
Yeah,
playing up to people's expectations to a point as well.
Yeah, overarm frickin' hoplites.
And for our last one, we have the Axumites.
Ooh,
don't really know anything about them.
This is a continuation of the Upper Egypt, Ethiopia, the Nilotic people, if you want to use a modern term, which are kind of the tall, thin, dark-skinned people of the Upper Nile region. So
I've never heard of these people. What is a great obelisk? Are they still around today?
Oh, Axum, isn't that still a city in Ethiopia?
I believe so. I mean, it's called Axum in the CK2 time period, and I think there's some continuity. There's probably significant continuity of civilization.
Great obelisk.
Now that
the obelisk still exists. If you search for Axum with an X, you can see a picture of the obelisk, or maybe that's just a modern recreation. I don't know.
Well, this is interesting because what we're seeing so far is that they seem to, you can play, like if you're playing the Nubians, it seems like it would be a general step if you wanted to play historical, like from the same area, you want to play the Axumites next.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. I do like the idea of going natural progression between the civs. That's probably what I will do. Mm-hmm. I don't like the idea of changing from, Chinese to Greek to Axumite. This kind of culture hopping isn't for me, but I do like the idea of, that kind of one.
You could do something like you're the Mycenaeans and then go to Romans.
Yeah, or the
Mycenaeans
the
to Greeks.
Yeah.
I mean, the Romans were, they did originate.
They were descended. It is thought that they were descended from Greeks that ran away.
At least the Romans
Troy,
believe
right?
that. Yeah,
the Romans thought they came from Troy.
The most interesting thing for me too is before the cultures, which was at Gamescom, was you start off as basically a migratory tribe wandering around before you even start getting the cultures, I think.
Uh-huh.
Which is pretty cool, I think, you know?
Yeah.
Some, like the Germanics, don't stop. There's
Yeah.
Yeah,
the
good
Huns
point,
are a migratory tribe. That's literally like saying what they are.
Yeah. I wonder how that'll work, actually. Yeah.
You notice
And if it's
also
like
for the
Civ that you just
classical
settle
age,
down,
we
it's air.
don't have a Chinese culture.
Right. That's exactly what I was about to say. We don't have like the Han, which seemed like it would have been a natural.
Yeah.
So surely that can't
The
be
Qin or
all
the
of the
Han,
cultures
yeah.
then, right? Or
So I
Is
guess
it?
you just you become Huns for a little while and then you go back to being Chinese or something. I don't know. But
no, we had our
Yeah.
time in China, and now we're going to fuck off and ruin the Romans' day by pushing everyone into them.
You say they're probably still working on that in chat, but they did confirm in their tweet that it was finished. The classical age ones were finished.
Yeah, so
Which
is
is
that
why
the
we
lot
decided to
for now
discuss them
for
today.
classical? What was the one before classical? Pre-classical? I don't know. What's it called?
Bronze Age.
Bronze Age, that's it. Bronze Age then classical. Yeah.
I'm just confirming
So
10.
Yesterday
so
they
that's,
said-
that's all of them. Yeah.
the final culture card goes up tomorrow.
Yeah.
Could it be the final culture card that we're going to share?
Well, they've said 10 per era, and there are 10 announced for the classical era now. So
Chinese players will kick up a fuss if there's no Han, says a Gamma Day. I can
yeah, that's
probably
a little. I mean,
see
Yes.
that.
Yeah, I could believe
it is
that,
kind of weird to me, but yeah.
it's-
I mean,
it's
there's just always
especially-
room for expansions.
Yeah,
It's especially
yeah.
weird
Well,
because they have the Zhao in the Bronze Age.
Yeah, so
Right.
what is their natural progression? Then you can sort of trace everyone else's closely
Yeah, I mean,
enough.
it would be either the Qing or the Han, based on what you wanted to consider classical.
I mean, there would.
yeah.
I'd say they'd probably go for the Han.
Han, yeah, would be the main one, right?
Or the,
I mean, and it makes
Qing.
sense.
I'm sorry, not the Qing. The Qing are much later. The Qing or the Han.
definitely. Can you imagine that? I'll be a bit of a hop.
Yeah, we're
Just
just
from a
gonna go
very,
ahead.
very cynical point of view, going with Han means more money from Chinese purchasers. So
Well, and it's
Yeah.
also just it was one of the major classical civilizations.
Yeah,
so it's
yeah.
weird not
Yeah.
to
but
see.
if there's two that you can choose between, one of them's going to make you more money.
Well,
Yeah.
and here they have the Hittite. Well, for the Bronze Age, we have the Hittites, the Babylonians, and the Assyrians, which you would see as going into the Persians, wherever they were in here. They were way
Yeah.
back here, weren't they?
Yeah, logically, if you model kind of the conquests that happened. So
And the Romans would come
Phoenicians
from the
go to-
Mycenaeans, or you would just have them come up new. Same for the
yeah.
Greeks.
I imagine, well, they've updated Ender's Legend quite a hefty amount, so I imagine
Oh, yeah.
there'll be more coming in DLC.
Oh yeah, this is definitely very easy DLC opportunities here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep, it just feels weird that they wouldn't have someone at the beginning from.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if they had left out the Zhao at the beginning,
Yeah,
yeah. Like I feel like
But-
the Zhou are they're less well known than the Qin or the Han are. But yeah. Anyway, we'll see what
The
happens.
Joes are ones
Um,
with the heads, isn't it? They have like.
yes, they do have
yeah,
heads. They
and
are
they-
human.
No, but they like. Is it? And it's one that's. Is it? It's like big jade heads, or is it the balls? No, it's the balls I'm thinking of. There's one that I think is in. Yeah, there's one that made like giant jade heads, which were really, really, really old. But I think the show were the first
Maybe,
ones.
yeah. I know they had the Oracle bones were from around that time, which is like
Yeah.
the earliest evidence of the Chinese alphabet. But
Yeah, which
And
is
they were
incredible
good
because you
here.
can look at the Chinese alphabet and you can look at like the alphabet
Yeah.
that was around.
yeah, how like a picture of
Ages
a
ago.
turtle turned into the modern character for turtle. Yeah,
And it's uncanny when you look at it too. You think how much it hasn't changed in all that
Yeah.
time. It's incredible.
Certainly see an evolution.
Yeah,
Yep.
absolutely.
Well, speaking of
Well-
evolution, guys, we've been going for a long time today.
yeah. We went pretty long. We didn't get to Bannerlord today, but I'm sure we'll talk more about. I just started a new campaign, so we'll have a lot to talk about next week.
I can't
before
talk
we
about
get
the new Animal Crossing update. Damn. We're adding bushes.
Soloris is off the podcast. No, it's fine. Everybody who I love all of you are enjoying Animal Crossing so much. I might never get it, but I love that you guys are enjoying it so much.
Oh, it's lovely.
Yeah. So, Rose, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
My streams are happening rarer and rarer right now, just because of physical discomfort sitting in this computer chair as I approach pregnancy, but approach birth of the baby.
I was going to say approaching pregnancy.
Approaching pregnancy. The end of the pregnancy.
TMI,
Approaching the end of the pregnancy.
Yeah.
But when I do go live, it's been with some multiplayer Jackbox playing with people, or probably some Bannerlord.
Sweet.
So, what are you playing in Bannerlord, by the way? I will get this in.
A horse archer.
I love the Crusades.
Yeah,
So good.
I've just started a new one for those two.
Yeah, Lambert, what have you been up to? Where can people find your stuff?
I've been playing quite a bit of Imperator. I just, before the podcast, recorded the last episode of my Judea campaign, which is going to go up tomorrow. Don't know what I'm playing after that, so if you want to, but there's going to be something. So if you want to see a new campaign from the very beginning, then, my channel, Lord Lambert, on YouTube. I also do Stellaris, or roleplay multiplayer, which is a hell of a lot of fun. Where people are not winning points for being the strongest, but by how well they roleplay their nation, which improves the game significantly.
A rule set after my own heart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it's. I thought you might appreciate that one.
Yes.
But yeah, that's been a lot of fun. So Lord Lambert on YouTube.
Loris, what have you been up to, and where can people find your stuff?
Well, I've just gotten back to doing public comics again after quite a long stint doing private commissions. Aiming to do one every Tuesday, just done one on Bannerlord. Be another one up next Tuesday.
That
Thanks,
Bannerlord
Crust.
one made me laugh because I was playing Bannerlord at the time, and I was like, oh. And I scrolled over, and the Khazades didn't exist there either. I was like, oh yeah, you're totally right.
It's all the time. It's whatever faction you want to play as is the one that just dies within 2 seconds of the game.
I'm just waiting for it, because I started a new game as Botania, and I'm like, I'm sure that even though they own a third of the map in my Sturgia game, they're just going to die immediately because I joined them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Won't fail.
All right. Well, you can find me on Twitter. I'm AsaTJ. That's ASATJ. I write reviews for some websites. I don't think I have anything new up since the last episode. But I have been doing a lot of work for the IGN Wiki Guide for Bannerlord. So if you're looking for some Bannerlord tips, myself and my comrades in arms have quite a bit of stuff there to kind of help you guys out. Especially if you're a new player trying to figure out what the heck to do. I've been gearing a lot of it towards that. Yeah, and we'll see you here same time next week. NoCB cast on Twitch, SoundCloud, Spotify, Twitter, pretty much everywhere.
Maybe YouTube one day.
I one day, yes. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
See you later.